Hello, everybody. My name is David Wiedemann, and welcome to 5 Minutes of Thought, episode number 16, Thinking with People. What's the big idea today? This is it. What do we do in organizations? Basically, we think together. That's our job. The problem is, we're not that good at it. Why? Because we find ways to obscure and block and render invisible the thinking that we ought to be doing together. We make it hard to see what's going on. So our point today in this lesson is to talk about how we can unhide the hidden thinking that should be going on openly by shining a little sunlight on it. We're going to do this in 4 steps. First, we're going to talk about breakfast. Then we're going to talk about a lot of pyramids. We're going to ask, so what? And we're going to reflect. Hopefully, wondrous things will ensue. Let's start with a concrete example, breakfast. Let's map the thinking that goes on in making the decision about what to eat for breakfast. First thing you do, open up the larder, see fruit, little broccoli, vegetables, and you say, okay, fruit in the larder. Next, you think about the fruit that you're seeing, and you come up with a couple of ideas. The first that pops into your mind, you know that fruit is considered nutrition. Okay, check mark. And you remember liking fruit. Check mark. Finally, it's time for a decision. Ding, hit the gavel. It's time to eat. Based on what you see and what you know and think about what you see, you can make a pretty good decision about what to do, and that's to eat. So it's a little silly to talk about breakfast, but here in this example, we have the 3 major divisions of thought that happen in any important thinking sequence, and you can see them in an essay, an argumentation, decision-making process, problem solution, you name it. They're just about everywhere, and they go by lots of different names. You might call the first level evidence, the middle level reasoning stage, the last a thesis. You might call them observation, consideration, assertion. I like data, claim, and warrant as well. But the ones we'll use for our purposes today are facts, thinking, and decision. The first step is to gather what you know, the facts. The second step is to reflect on process, make associations, deduce things about the facts, and the final step is to make a decision based on the facts and what you think about the facts. The problem is that we don't tend to do these things in any visible, transparent, collective way, and to demonstrate that, I am going to use pyramids. Now, I like to use pyramids to describe the line between the visible and invisible. Here I am using a pyramid in episode 31, showing where the line is between visible and invisible rules, assumptions, and norms, and advocating for shifting that line. Here I am talking about it in episode 26. The line of visibility is between knowledge, prefab knowledge, and relational emergence, and I'm advocating for shifting that line down. I am going to use something similar today. Same pyramid. I'm going to call it the thinking pyramid. Let's put the facts at the bottom, the thinking step in the middle, and the decision step at the top. Now let's add the line of demarcation between visible and invisible. So here we have thinking and facts hidden and decision visible. When would this happen? Well, this happens a lot, as a matter of fact. Any occasion where you discover something after the decision's already been made, that's a thinking pyramid that's 2/3 obscured. Your boss says, hey, we're going to make this move, and you don't know what facts were used or what reasoning was used to make that decision. That is a mostly hidden thinking pyramid. But the real problem is that for a lot of our thinking, even the decision step isn't made visible. It looks like this. There's only a little tiny implied hint of this vast pyramid that's hidden beneath the surface. I'm going to give you an example by applying the thinking pyramid to a specific case that I call the case of the eye roll. This is the eye roll pyramid. I'm going to change the color so you know it's not a general statement, but an example. In the eye roll pyramid scenario, you're in a meeting and you find out that someone named David has been assigned to a given project, and the person next to you looks at you and says, David's leading that project, and then they make a provocative eye roll. Okay, what's going on in this? Let's map this out on the thinking pyramid. That eye roll means something. What does it mean? Well, it's implying, but not saying, that there's something wrong with David leading that project. David's a bad choice. So we replace decision with David is a bad choice. According to the thinking pyramid theory, you don't make a decision without facts and thinking. So what are the facts? Well, we have to guess at them because everything's implied, but we guess there must be some kind of facts in here that say something like David goofed up various projects in the past. And then there's a reasoning step in between, a thinking step, which is something like this maybe. If he goofed up, he'll do it again, so he's a bad choice. So this is the massive thinking pyramid that's behind even the simplest little implied hint of a claim or assertion, like an eye roll, like a provocative eye roll. And the deal is, it's totally invisible. There's no way to discuss this, to think about it. And the problem with that is that all of these pieces might not be true, right? It might not be true that David goofed up in the past, if that is the data that this person was using. This idea that if you goof up once, you'll goof up again, clearly that's not always true. And then the claim that's based on these two not possibly always true things is also sort of suspect, but we can't discuss that because it's all hidden behind an implied, hinted, invisible barrier. And if you can't discuss things, if they're not transparent and all your thinking is hidden or limited or blocked in some way, you're not going to make good decisions. So the point for your organization is to figure out how to get that thinking pyramid back out in the open. And all you need is a little bit of process. Here's how you do it. Here's your team. Everybody's got all kinds of different ideas, feelings, thoughts, both facts, thinking, and decisions all jumbled up in their minds. And the point is, let's get them all out on the table where we can collectively sort them into the three categories. And that's going to make us make better decisions. A simple process is all you need. Given a given subject, you just ask a few questions in sequence. First, you try to figure out what the facts are. What do we know about subject X? What can we find out? That's the facts. When you've gathered them all, you move on to think about the facts. What can we infer, deduce, assume, predict, associate with this set of facts? And finally, when you've given them enough thought, you get to make the decision step. What should we do? And if you followed all the steps, you should feel pretty good about your decision. One key piece in this three-step sequence is, of course, that for each step you're asking yourselves constantly, is this true? Is this accurate? Is this right? Do we really have all the facts? Are these the right facts? Is there something we're not seeing? Are we really thinking about this right? Are we making the right inferences or deductions from this? And is this the best decision to make? Okay, so what? Hidden and then revealed breakfast cognition process. So what's got three steps? Step one is basically there's a thinking pyramid going on everywhere. A thought or an implied thought or a feeling or any idea is happening. If it's important to the organization for that subject to be thought about well, then you need to make that thinking pyramid visible. You do that with a simple process, breaking things into facts, thinking, and deciding. And if you do this well with your group, you get all the thoughts and ideas that are jumbled up in everybody's mind out on the table, and you sort them out well, and you feel good about your decision, and you approach organizational nirvana. Okay, let's pause and reflect. Did this presentation trigger any thoughts, feelings, ideas? Track those down, follow up on them. You may be starting your own learning sequence. And secondly, I invite you to take the cubicle challenge if you really like this. See if you can't pop up from behind your cubicle and explain this to the person in the next cubicle. And with that, I think we did everything we set out to do. We talked about breakfast. We talked a lot about pyramids. We asked, so what? And then we reflected, and hopefully wondrous things ensued. My name is David Wiedemann. This has been 5 Minutes of Thought, episode number 16, Thinking with People. Come join me and my friends at 5mot.org, where you will hear all sorts of additional 5 Minutes of Thoughts and find collateral materials. And as always, I leave you with an easy step forward. What if you want to make the thinking pyramid visible in your workplace or your life? Here's what you might do. Find a conversation, any conversation. Ask yourself by turning the camera of curiosity onto the conversation, where in the thinking going on here are the facts, the thinking step and the decision step. And you might wonder a little bit, are these things each individually true? Or could I make these visible? Would it help? And then if it feels safe, you might just pick one of the things you're looking at that's currently invisible, mention it, and see how it goes. And if you try this, Come tell us how it went at 5mot.org. We'd love to hear from you, and have a great day.